Bitcoin saw a huge rejection from this horizontal resistance yesterday. Despite having very good CPI numbers, we saw a bounce back to the $58,000. Can we see a little bit more positivity coming into the markets today for Bitcoin? Or are we going all the way back down to the $52,000? There's a lot to talk about for Bitcoin. A lot of interesting news is coming into the markets. So watch this video to be updated about the markets. I will also discuss the two altcoins XRP and Polkadot with you. So watch this video all the way to the end. Give this video a like and let's dive right into the charts. On the 4-hour time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is currently in this kind of range with on the top side multiple touch points as resistance. We can see 5 touch points on the top side as resistance, and every time we touch this resistance on the top side, we saw a bounce to the downside. So this is a very big resistance for Bitcoin to break. And on the lower side, we can see a lot of support coming into the market, and that is also what we want to see. And currently, we are at this critical support for Bitcoin. So let's see if we can maybe see a bounce today from this level, because we don't want to fall below this level and retest it as resistance, because then we have to aim for lower prices, and then we can come back all the way to the $52,000, and that is not what we want to see, of course. So we want to see some strength for Bitcoin coming into the markets today. We want to revisit this topside resistance for this range, maybe force a break to the top side, retest this resistance as support, and then come further back up. And that will be having a very bullish effect. And on the 4-hour time frame, yeah, we can see we came all the way back down from this huge regional top at the $69,000. We came all the way back down to the $49,000. But currently we are seeing that Bitcoin is going to create a trend reversal, and eventually we want to create more bullish momentum to the top side. So we have to break this range to the top side to create more bullish price action, and then we can confirm the uptrend to the top side. And yesterday the US core inflation rates were coming in. The CPI data was published yesterday, and we saw a little bit of a positive day, because the core inflation rate year on year was expected to be 3.3%, but it came in as 3.2%. And the inflation rate year on year was expected for 3%, and it came in at the actual was 2.9%. So this was a little bit more bullish than bearish, but the market reacted very interesting, because we saw a huge rejection from this level, and we saw actually a little bit more downside than upside. So Bitcoin reacted very strange actually to this news. Now we are seeing that this resistance level is a little bit too strong still for Bitcoin. So this first big resistance around the $61,500 is the big resistance for Bitcoin to break to the top side. So let's see if we can revisit this resistance, and eventually we want to see a break to the top side and create more bullish momentum. After this low of last week, we created a low. We also created a new high. And now we want to see that the Bitcoin is going to create a higher low, and also from there a higher high. And that will indicate that we're going to see a trend reversal for Bitcoin after this downtrend from this regional high around the $69,000. So let's see if Bitcoin can create more bullish price action and create the trend reversal. So Bitcoin has to break this big resistance first to create a big trend reversal. And another interesting chart on the daily time frame is this formation. We had multiple touch points here on the lower side on this trend line support. And eventually, every time we touch this area on the lower side support, we saw a big bounce to the top side, just like we saw last week. And now we can see that Bitcoin is seeing a little bit more bullish price action, and we can also approach it a little bit like a bull flag on the lower time frame. So let's see if Bitcoin can eventually break out of this consolidation and see more exponential moves to the top side. And on the higher side of this big formation, we can see this resistance coming into the market around the $72,000. And of course, this will be the last big resistance for Bitcoin to break, to take a shot at this previous all-time high around the $73,000. So of course, there's still a long road to go for Bitcoin to even come to this resistance on the top side. But eventually, if we are coming to this huge box of resistance, then we can maybe take a shot of the previous all-time high. But if we are at this box of resistance, I'm also taking a little bit of my profits, because I bought at these lows, and from these lows I've been telling you that you should buy into the market at the support level, and from these lows you could already make a 35% increase. So I'm taking a little bit of my profits here on the top side resistance, because of course we can see a break to the top side and create more bullish price action, of course, but we can also see that this resistance is still a little bit too strong, that we're going to see a rejection from this point. So at this level you want to take in some profits. And yesterday the Bitcoin ETFs had a little bit of a bearish day. We saw an outflow of $81 million, so that is a little bit more bearish. BlackRock was of course still buying, but they did not buy very much. Grayscale was still selling, so that was a little bit unfortunate to see. And of course they keep selling because their commission is 1.5%, and people are stuck in this ETF, so they are trying to offload their Bitcoin, and eventually they maybe recycle into other ETFs, so that's good to see, of course. But Grayscale also has an ETF with the lowest commission, so of course that also could also be a little bit more bullish, but there's not a lot of inflows into that Bitcoin ETF. And the Ethereum ETF saw another positive day again, because we almost saw with 11 million of inflows yesterday, and BlackRock is still buying like crazy. Of course, Grayscale is selling their Ethereum as just as the Bitcoin ETF, and we can also see that they have the highest commission here. People are getting stuck into this ETF, but they also have the lowest rate in another ETF. So a lot of people are selling their Ethereum out of this ETF, and they are recycling it to other ETFs. So the selling pressure of Grayscale is a little bit of cooling off, and that's exactly what we want to see. So eventually when this selling pressure is cooling off, we can see positive days for Ethereum, and that's exactly what we want to see. So this could also have a very bullish effect on the price of Ethereum in the long term. And yesterday also very interesting news was coming into the market. So the Norwegian Central Bank, they bought for more than 1 million shares of MicroStrategy in Q1. And also the Swiss Central Bank bought a lot of shares of MicroStrategy. And of course they didn't buy Bitcoin, but of course everyone knows that MicroStrategy owns a lot of Bitcoin. So they're also indirectly owning a little bit of Bitcoin, and they're promoting it. So we can see the Norwegian bank is owning a lot of shares. Also the Swiss National Bank, and also JP Morgan Chase. A lot of other very interesting companies. So this is looking very bullish, and maybe they are going to buy more in Q3 and Q4. And of course this will have a very bullish effect on the price of Bitcoin. And if they are buying shares like crazy, the price of MicroStrategy will go up. And eventually MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor, they will use this kind of money to again buy more Bitcoin. And the first interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is XRP. Yesterday I've been talking about XRP on my socials, and I said that we're already consolidating for 139 weeks already. So this could be the longest sideways price action in crypto ever. And I was asking you if we're going to see a break in 2024 for XRP. So let me know in the comments, do you think we are going to see a break for XRP in 2024? Or do we have to wait for 2025? And if we have a look at the chart on the daily time frame, we can see we broke out of this huge falling wedge formation for XRP. We saw a big bounce to the top side, and eventually we came to this breakout target I was telling you about, because the breakout target was confluent with the top side of this formation, and we hit it exactly at around the 65 cents. We came all the way back down, we retested this previous resistance as support, and this was a very interesting trade to make. And at these lows, the news was coming in that the SEC was dropping the court case around for XRP. So we saw a huge bounce to the top side, and again we came to this high, and we saw a little bit of a rejection again. And if we then have a look at the weekly time frame, we can already see that XRP is consolidating for 139 weeks. And this is insane, of course, and we can see multiple touch points on the top side as resistance, multiple touch points on the downside as support. In the last few weeks, XRP has been trying to break out to the top side, but every time we saw a big rejection coming into the market, especially last week. We came all the way back down to the support, and now we also bounced to the top side. So it looks like that XRP is wanting to break out eventually, and then we have to wait for a weekly close of this candle above this resistance area to confirm the real breakout. And then I want to see a retest of the previous resistance to turn it into support. From there, we can aim for higher prices. And if XRP is breaking out of this consolidation phase, the first big resistance on the top side will be around the 91 or 92 cents. Another interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Polkadot. We can see Polkadot was rejected big time a couple of weeks ago by this huge resistance area. We saw a lot of interesting support and resistance coming into the market, but Polkadot wasn't strong enough, and we came all the way back down to this low side support around the $4. And this support is holding very strong, and we can also see here very interesting support and resistance coming into the market for Polkadot. So this green box of accumulation could have been a very interesting place to accumulate more DOT for the long term. But eventually I think we will go back to this big resistance around the $6.50. So for now we don't want to see that Polkadot is going to break below this level, because then we will go back to bear market prices around the $3, and that's not what we want to see. Now we want to see that Polkadot is going to show more strength. Eventually we want to see this bounce from this support, and we want to see that Polkadot is going to come back to this resistance and maybe force a break to the top side, retest the previous resistance as support, and then we can create more bullish price action. Please give a like if you find this video useful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.